Yo and hello everybody. My name's Mike Moynihan. This is Hobby Think Tank. That's my buddy Danny Black. Welcome to the show. Hey Danny, how are you, man?
Dude, I love that music. It never gets old. We need to come up with like the extended version, the director's cut.
Yeah, then we'd start losing viewers quickly. I think they all just fast forward through the intro.
Once they see this, it's gone anyway. And I think we're going to talk about some of that anyway.
A little bit about that. Yeah. Our what we want to think tank through today is as two guys, you and me, who make probably more content than your average guy, right? I'm not going to say we're the most prolific out there, but we are involved in several different shows, several different ways of creating content, both YouTube, podcast, digital media, you name it, right? There's all kinds of content. And I want to kind of let you guys out there in the audience get into the
minds of what we do behind the scenes.
Sorry, phone call came in. But let you guys into the mind of what we think about when we're creating content and what influences us, what changes our perspective, all of that. Does that sound like a good think tank episode there, Danny?
It does, because it comes up a lot. And somebody, to be fair, made a comment to me recently that they felt that I had done the same content too many times in a short period of time, that it was similar content. So I thought it'd be good to open up the brain a little bit and share what, even today's episode, what we go through.
Yeah. We'll talk about what you go through. Talk about kind of the process of delineating topics to what's appropriate for which platform / avenue that you release content.
Well, today's a perfect example. This is something I've wanted to talk about for a while, but there's not a lot of shows that you and I can go on and just talk stuff out, which is why we do Hobby Think Tank. I couldn't do this content on another show. That might be a panel group of 3 or 4 people, might be live with questions, and those are fantastic, but it's a different format. You're reacting more to every question that comes in, or every comment, as opposed to you and I getting to think through and I'm talking stuff out as I listen to myself go. And one of the challenges is staying fresh, and that is something I've always struggled with. I'm a diehard Baltimore guy. Listen, if I had my druthers, I'd talk, Orioles and Rangers with you all day, and and nobody would watch. So I'm always torn between, sharing the passion of what we do in the hobby on a larger scale and trying to make that work from a 30,000-foot view, but also be true to the nuances of myself, and make sure I get that across on what makes me worth watching, I guess, is the truth of it.
Yeah, and that's probably a question we need to dive into a little bit, is what makes us, I would even talk about what makes content in general worth watching, because that's a broad spectrum and everything. But, you've probably gotten enough feedback to this point where you can say, what do you think appeals to your viewers? What type of content?
It's funny. I get the most response for 2 things when I play the Ernie Johnson role in a group show, and I enjoy playing off of people. I enjoy having other people around, to be honest, more than a one-on-one show. And I think I'm funny. Maybe I'm not.
You're funny looking, so yes.
I'm very funny looking. But I enjoy that. I enjoy sharing that. I enjoy making people laugh. So if we can talk about cards and make people laugh, that's my dream. That's the sweet spot for me. But I can't do every show just like that. There's news and hobby stuff.
Well, if you think about the 3 keys to me, and I've talked about this on previous videos, but I'll bring it up again. To me, there's 3 keys to making a video that I want to watch. And so those are the videos that I want to watch, I want to create to make that feeling for someone else. And that's to be entertaining, i.e. being funny or whatever, have some entertainment value. be educational, drop some knowledge. Hopefully people can learn something from watching your channel, or be inspirational, right? And in this case, because we want them all to have the same letter, we're going to spell inspirational with an E. Inspirational.
Extra inspirational.
Extra inspirational. But, because I get inspired a lot by watching other content that's out there to either think outside the box on my collection, on how I do things, how I store things, how I display things, you name it. There's all kinds of ways that I'm inspired all the time by watching other people. And I enjoy that. I enjoy being inspired. Who doesn't? Who doesn't like seeing something? And I like learning, and I like being entertained. So to me, that's like, ideally a video can do all three of those things. You've kind of unlocked the secret sauce of how to make a great channel. I feel like think tank. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you say that, but it's the roadmap to get there.
Well, yeah, I think if every content creator sat down and said, is this video at least one of these three things? Or is this video that I'm about to do going to be either entertaining, educational, or inspirational? And if the answer is no, you probably shouldn't do it, right? And I feel like there's times when I'll do let's say a pickup video, and I'll just show a card. And the goal there is to be probably not entertaining, but probably educational. And like, I don't do enough talking about the player and their impact and why this card matters and why it matters to me, and, why it's a cool card, all that stuff. I do that some, but I feel like I could do that better, and be even more educational and get more people to want to click on the next video. If they get something out of one video, you would think they'd come back to get more out of the next video. I'm not very funny. So I've proven that over and over by trying to do things on YouTube that have fallen completely flat. And so I've learned I'm not funny. That's just
which is just wrong. First of all, you know what it is. You're funny all the time, and you don't turn it off.
So I'm not serious enough then.
You need to straighten up. I think you need to get your stuff together is really the issue here.
Maybe someday I'll be good enough at this to actually be worthy of people watching. But first thing, I enjoy making content. And I think I just enjoy doing it. I enjoy showing cards. I enjoy talking about the hobby, all the different things. And I've created these different, I'm not going to say personas, avenues to do that. So I have, Chasing Cardboard. That's a very unique show that is meant for actually a complete non-hobby audience. Everybody thinks we're doing it for the hobby. And I will tell you, in our production meetings, all we talk about is how do we reach people that don't give a rat's patootie about sports cards. That's our audience with Chasing Cardboard. And I think that would surprise a lot of people because, of course, it's about sports cards, but it's really more about the stories. It's a human interest show.
Yep.
And it's meant to tell compelling stories around sports cards because that's what we know and what we can talk about. And it's cool. But the truth is, I want to reach the mom that, the best compliment I get about Chasing Cardboard is people telling me, hey, I watch this, but my wife watches it too, and she loves it, and she knows nothing about sports cards. That's the compliment I want to get, not from a hobbyist who says, man, that was really great. We appreciate all it's not like we don't want to have the hobby enjoy the content. It's just that's not our target audience. If they happen to enjoy it, great. But I don't watch I'm really going off on a tangent here, but I don't watch American Pickers and watch Mike Wolf, for example, talk about an Indian motorcycle. And if it's a 1926 and he calls it a 1925, I don't care. It could be whatever he says it is.
Are you supposed to get angry and send a whole bunch of messages?
Well, that happens a lot but it's not happening to me on that show because I'm not a motorhead. I'm not that kind of guy, but I enjoy and am entertained and like learning stuff. And that show kind of hits all those things for me that I watch it. So we want, if I miscall a card in the moment, which I've done, on Chasing Cardboard several times, guilty as charged. And man, the comments are just like, oh, I can't believe you called that a blah, blah, blah. And it's really a blah, blah, blah. You're an idiot. And it's like, dude, you go try to do that in the moment with a camera on you. And point being, that shouldn't matter because that's not who we're catering to. Versus Golden Age of Cardboard podcast, I try to be very accurate there because I know it's pure hobbyists that are watching that show, people that are into vintage, and I want to be a knowledgeable resource. And it's hard to be considered a knowledgeable resource if you mess up. Everyone, not that everybody will make mistakes, right? But and
can
then
I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
And I respected your show before we met. But one of the things I've learned doing content myself is we're going to make mistakes all the time. And as a content creator, and if we're peeling back, the curtain here, it's always a fine line between, how much of a mistake is okay and are you comfortable with, and how much do we want to make sure we're educationally, appropriate. And I just wonder how you figure out when to hit edit or when you just roll with it.
I almost never hit edit, but it's funny. I'll watch other people's content and they'll call a card a certain year and it's not the right year. And they'll have they'll have edited it and put in, hashtag sorry or whatever. It's a this correct. This is what I meant to say. This is what it really is. And being a content creator myself, I totally get that in the moment you'll brain fart and you'll say something that you can look at the card and go, I know this is 1978. This is O-Pee-Chee, by the way, but Eddie Murray rookie. But
I was about to say, you got my attention in there. This is what I would like to talk about, by the way.
But this is, by the way, I pulled this out of the basement collection. It is so crispy, dude. This card is.
All right, we got to talk after the show.
So gorgeous. I'm sending it into PSA.
Well, one of us will talk after the show.
It is absolutely gorgeous. I'm like, and it was the best centered card out of a stack of 78 O-Pee-Chees, and there happened to be a Murray in it. And I'm like, holy crap, that could be a really big card.
I've got spots for it, so there's no problem there, Mike. I just want you to know
and it's great. It's the O-Pee-Chees are great. Anyway, okay. Sorry, we digress. We talked about cards, God forbid.
I know.
But if I called that a 79, I'm probably not going to fix it. Everybody will let me know that I screwed up, and that's fine. But I know it's a 78. I just might in the instant that I'm thinking about something else or distracted or whatever, brain fart, like I said. And I think about also, again, we have Hobby Hotline that we're both a part of. That's more of a kind of now stuff. Yep. I love making evergreen content, and you and I would probably describe that to everybody out there that doesn't make content stuff that, how to store your collection or how to
timeless stuff.
Exactly. Timeless topics that no matter where you are, every person coming into the hobby or wherever you are, if you're at that whatever stage of whatever topic is being discussed, it would make sense today, 5 years ago, 10 years from now, it would still be a good video. My most watched video on Baseball Collector is buying cards, how to buy cards on eBay. And it still gets views today. And I did the video, 7 years ago or something crazy. So I like making evergreen content that's helpful to collectors, that would be a resource for collectors, that are out there, just taking from whatever my experience is. I do think it's important as a content creator, you want to see guys either A, own their mistakes, or B, not talk completely out of their ass. I mean, if you're going to talk about a topic, at least have more than a working knowledge about it. And it's okay to say, I don't know, it's okay to say, hey, in my experience, this is my experience. And if you keep it to that, I think you're safe. But if you start talking about a lot of generalities or it universally applies to everybody kind of thing, I think you're going down a slippery slope.
I'd like to apologize for drinking. I'm getting over a head cold, so
you're forgiven.
It's a vodka.
Hey, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Somewhere.
See, we are funny.
I told you. All we need
Well, I
is the
already
button.
knew you were funny. You've always been funny.
Um, so you brought up a point, and I genuinely struggle with this: evergreen versus current content. I'm interested in both. They both have a relevant, point. I care that, where the national is going to be held. I mean, I may not want to spend an hour talking about it, but that's something that's interesting to me. At the same time, how to buy cards on eBay. I mean, I'm finishing a couple sets. Uh, that's very relevant. So I struggle with evergreen versus current content when I have the choice, which is why I like doing multiple shows. How
Because then
about
it
you?
just gives you more options to.
I know which lane I'm in. Like you said,
Yeah,
on Chasing Cardboard, you're not going to talk about hobby breaking news.
right.
On Hobby Hotline, you get to discuss with viewers all these subjects.
And it's ironic if any content creator says, I don't care if anybody watches my channel, I would call that person a liar or just not in touch with,
Yeah.
what's going on. None of us do this so that nobody watches it, right? We want people to consume our content. We want people to enjoy our content. The views will tell you if you're making the right videos, right? I mean, if you're out there and your videos aren't getting a lot of traction, but I'll have videos, Danny, that I spend tremendous amount of research time and doing cool edits and all that, and they won't get diddly squat for views, but I had a great time making it.
Yeah.
Versus something that I may have shot in literally 8 minutes and just talking about a particular topic, and it gets 10x the views of the one that I took forever to create. And at the end of the day, I've been trying so long to figure out the magic bullet to have people watch and enjoy my content that I just don't worry about it. I haven't figured it out yet, and I've kind of given up on that. I'm just going to make the content and I enjoy, and some people will dig it and some people won't.
If you get negative feedback on views or on comments, does that affect decisions in the future for you?
Certainly, I think we should all be open to
Well,
feedback
right.
and
Uh,
constructive criticism.
which is something that I don't think people realize is that, we do listen. I mean, listen, I do a hobby news daily. There's a lot of content coming out of there. And you have to listen to feedback on what people want to a certain degree. Even if, it's your channel, you have to be open minded to what people are interested in to a certain level.
Yeah, I mean, I read every comment. I used to respond to every comment, but it got overwhelming to be able to do that. But I absolutely read every comment. And so they matter. And words can hurt, just so people know, as if you're out there. Uh, and look, I still want people to be honest. I don't want to blow smoke up my butt. But at the same time, being a little bit delicate and is probably the better way to go to get somebody not just to react in a negative way and just be like, well, screw that guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But I do read every comment. I appreciate every comment. And it does influence what we do next. But in a good way, that can be too, because I've gotten plenty of great ideas for Gold Native Cardboard, for example, from viewers saying, hey, would you do a video on this set? Or I'd love to see a discussion on the Negro League guys or this or that, things that maybe were in the back of my mind, but, oh, that person said that. That's a good idea. I'll move that up the list of potential topics down the road and talk about it.
I think they say, for every comment you get, it represents the view of X amount of people. So, for people out there, yes, please be nice as much as you can. But the feedback is nice, whether it's constructive criticism or just, a compliment. We do like getting feedback and we do listen to it, and it does matter. And as long as it's not inappropriate relationships with other family members that you're describing, I'm fine with it.
Or farm animals. We don't
Yeah.
need to be talking about that either. How much for you does suggestions from viewers influence your content creation?
So let me take Hobby News Daily. It's affecting it more and more. Um, People definitely, I think, when I put something out there or if I do something, I don't necessarily want to do it for the viewer, but I'm conscious of which angle I take when I'm talking about it. Like that Murray Peachy. I mean, I'd probably like to talk about Eddie Murray's career in Baltimore more, but what might be more relevant is why is the card cool? Um, and why is Murray a great player, and maybe make it more educational, like you said, and I might angle the video more like that than just talking about the '83 World Series for the whole hour.
Do you think content creators can get pigeonholed into, well, this person is kind of in this niche within the hobby? Because I think within the hobby, you can break down content into multiple different segments. You've got certainly the watchdog type content. You've got the breakers. You've got the talking news heads guys that all they do is kind of give you the kind of daily stuff of what's going on in the hobby, or weekly stuff that does that, all of which are good. And then you have kind of the pure, a lot of people call them the pure collector channels. Like they're just dudes showing cards, and they don't get into the politics of the world or fanatics, and I mean the politics of the card world is kind of what I'm going with that, and who's changing jobs, and nobody, the pure collector guys, they don't even care about any of that stuff. So what do you think?
Do you care about that stuff?
I've kind of considered myself an everyman in the hobby, meaning I like to know what's going on in the hobby. I want to stay informed on what's going on in the hobby. At the end of the day, I really care most about the cards. The content I enjoy the most are just kind of those pure collector channels that just are showing cool stuff. But I will tell you, after a decade, I've seen a 1960 Topps Roberto Clemente before. It's not like I'm seeing cards. There are cards I see on certain channels that are unique and rare and cool, and somebody got one, like, whoa, that's pretty awesome. But by and large, most of the common stuff that people show is been there, done that. But that doesn't mean I still don't like watching why. That's why it's important for a collector to tell me, why is that card important to you?
Right.
Because been there, seen it. So you better tell me something new. If you're just going to show me a card, thanks. But, and again, I need to be better about that, is my point too.
So yes, I think people can get pigeonholed, to answer your question. And I think it's probably another factor that we take into consideration at some level. I don't want to do the same thing all the time. I want to make sure I'm showing all the things I'm interested in and make sure I don't get pigeonholed. I don't, I don't really enjoy watching other people just show cards, unless it's something less, like you said, there's a story. I'm a story person. So the channels that I tend to be attracted to are, I guess, like you said, the educational, inspirational, where I can learn something. I'm going to geek out with that Murray, with you, because that's what I truly, enjoy. Choose watching my language here. So if I get to do that and share the knowledge, like, why is that O-Pee-Chee cool? Why did you and I both care that it was O-Pee-Chee versus Topps? Somebody may not know that. They may have no idea why that's relevant. They may have no idea who Eddie Murray is. I mean, so getting a chance to educate somebody on any aspect of that, to me, is awesome. The question is, does anybody care, and will they watch? And am I delivering it in an entertaining fashion? And that's that magic bullet you're talking about.
Well, again, I haven't found the magic bullet, so I just said, screw it. I'm just going to make the stuff I enjoy making among these different, again, participating in Hobby Hotline, doing Hobby Think Tank, doing the podcast, doing Baseball Collector, doing Chase Cardboard. All these things allow me to itch each of those scratches of places I like to be involved in the hobby. But if you said, Mike, you can only do one channel, one type of show. What would you do? It would be old school baseball collectors kind of stuff, just showing cards and talking about projects I'm working on and why I love them and all that kind of stuff. That's the core of who I am. The other stuff is fun to be a part of, but it's not, if it went away, it wouldn't devastate me and make me not ever want to do content again.
I want comments on this episode probably more than I've ever wanted comments before, because I'm curious from viewers what you expect out of content creators. You know, what do you hope for? Why do you give feedback or not give feedback? If you've never commented before, please leave a comment. You know, I'm very curious on everybody else's perception or wants or interest in the content that we do on this show or any show.
There's a fascinating dynamic with, at least with YouTube, right? And it's the like button. And I find it fascinating. Literally every time I'm watching a video on my phone or my personal computer, as soon as I click on the video, the first thing I do is click the like button. I haven't watched any of the video, but I promise you, if I've clicked on it, I like you, I like what you're talking about, and I'm going to like the video, and I don't want to forget to do it, because that's instant feedback. It's not as good as maybe a comment that can be more thought out, and it's literally just I'm reacting and giving this a thumbs up. But that's the simplest thing I can do to acknowledge the content creator putting their effort into giving me something to watch. Thank you very much, Mr. Creator, for doing that. Appreciate it. Here's at least a thumbs up. And depending on the content of the video, I may make a comment. The only excuse someone would have for me to not do a thumbs up and or a thumbs down, feedback's good either way, I guess, is if you're watching on my television, I can't leave a thumbs up, you know? But there's just not a lot of people that watch videos on their television. So it has always befuddled me why you might get 3,000 views on a video and you'll have 50 likes.
Yep.
or 50 thumbs, period, whether it's up or down. And I'm like, what are the other 2,950 people?
They had no opinion.
What compelled them? Yeah. But it's more of an acknowledgement. Thanks for making the content. Not even do I like the content or the video or the topic. Well, the topic will get me to click on the video, which is why thumbnails, and I used to think it was all hogwash, but I am totally convinced that thumbnails and titles matter significantly because there's so much to choose from. You need to stand out to your audience.
Great peel back the curtain.
Yeah, I mean, it matters. And I think consistency with that is important. You know, most of my thumbnails are just me going, you know, or whatever. But that's so that someone can see my face and know, okay, that's Mike, you know, and he's whatever he's talking about. You know, I'll look at the title then. I try to be creative with the titles, not clickbaity necessarily, although I've been guilty of that and own that 100%, because I want you to click on my video. No question.
Right.
And it's not for the 0.6 cents, you know, or whatever. I would love this feedback from people, and I know we're running out of time, but I've thought about doing a video where I really peel back the curtain on content creator in our space, in the hobby space, and what monetization looks like.
Sure.
So that, like, literally I have stats going back, you know, 7-8 years on my channel that I would be willing to show and share if people would find that interesting, just to see really how little a content creator makes. It's shocking. People, you know, you guys are monetized. Y'all are just in it for the money. No, but the way I look at it is and this has changed, by the way, the hobby community on YouTube used to be so anti-monetization. I think it's become normalized a lot and just accepted, because if you're making content, every time, you know, somebody clicks on your video, if YouTube wants to pay me, if Google wants to pay me, why not? You know, I would make the videos anyway, but heck, if I can make, you know, a couple $100 a month, even better, you know?
And to peel back the curtain, I mean, just because you see a sponsorship also, don't think that this is a, you know, New York's Times Square advertising money.
Yeah, nobody's retiring on their in
It
the
is
hobby.
so the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a labor of love, for sure, first and foremost. And then if there's any ancillary financial benefit to that, it's kind of icing on the cake, right?
Well, and listen, StreamYard is the platform we use. They charge. I have a pro account, and so I have to pay for that every month. And so I hope nobody's offended if I try to break even at least.
Right. Shouldn't be. And you can skip the ads. It's not like you have to watch them, but most of the time anyway. So anyway, I think we've gone over our 30 allotted minutes of talking through this. Again, like Danny said, we'd love to hear comments about what you think, what you expect from us, what you'd like to see out of content creators in general, and maybe even specifically out of me and or Danny, for us to create content. Because at the end of the day, y'all are the ones watching it. If you're watching this, then give us some more stuff that you'd be willing to watch. And we,
because we do appreciate it. Mike's very popular. He gets a lot of calls, and this is going to play great when it comes back. But that's kind of our allotted time. So I think we're going to get out of here. I do want Mike to have a chance to say goodbye. But if not, there he goes. You unmute yourself. And we can say goodbye. This
technical difficulties, technical. All right, there we go. Different camera, same ugly person.
I said, this is content. This is pulling back the curtain.
Man, that was I had a phone call and just screwed me all up. So, any last words? We'll let everybody go.
Yeah. I hope we pulled back the curtain. I hope it was helpful. If there is any questions and you want to reach out directly and in the comments, go for it. But we genuinely want feedback. We do this because we love it, and there's a lot of things we can talk about, and we're always interested in making sure, or I know I am, that people care.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys soon. Keep collecting.